Exceptional engineers, Pico programmers, and CircuitPython squad. I'm Professor John Gallagher, and in this lesson, I'll be showing you how to add a STEMMA-QT or Qwiic style I2C port to a board that doesn't already have one. And I'll be demonstrating this using a Raspberry Pi Pico board, but the techniques that I'll demonstrate should work on other CircuitPython compatible boards as well. Then, to prove that things are working, we'll implement a STEMMA-QT device. I'm going to use a simple temperature sensor to get the temperature, and that's going to be the Adafruit MCP9808 STEMMA-QT, since that's what my students are going to be using. And while we're printing temperature readings, we'll learn to format numbers to print a specified number of decimals, as well as no decimals at all. Finally, I'll show you another nifty low-cost solution that is specific to the Pico boards, the Adafruit Cowbell board. So let's slide into STEMMA-QT or quickly get into Qwiic with some wiring, coding, and temperature taking, CircuitPython style. If you're new here, welcome. You might want to check out the playlist to see how we got here. So, as mentioned in the earlier lesson, I2C is one of the big three communication protocols for connecting devices to microcontrollers. Now, normally you need 4 wires to hook up I2C, but if you have a STEMMA-QT port, then all you need to work with I2C is one plug. And even better, I2C devices can be daisy-chained together, so you only need one plug on your board to work with multiple devices. So STEMMA-QT is pretty much the same as what SparkFun calls Qwiic, Qwiic. The IIC stands for I2C. Get it? But the only difference is that while SparkFun standard supports 3.3 volt devices, Adafruit STEMMA-QT can support 3.3 and 5 volt devices as well. Now, most STEMMA-QT devices are 3.3, so this really isn't a problem, but if you are using a SparkFun Qwiic device, just make sure that it's supported by a CircuitPython library if you plan to use CircuitPython. Now, STEMMA-QT devices are increasingly popular standards, and ports are becoming available on all sorts of boards, including the super tiny and inexpensive Adafruit Qt Pi series. The QT stands for STEMMA-QT. See what they did there? But not all boards have a STEMMA-QT port, and one of the boards my students are using, the Raspberry Pi Pico 2W, has no STEMMA-QT port here, but we'll add a STEMMA-QT connector with a breadboard. And how can we do that? Well, we just use this cable here, which you can buy for less than $1. Now, power should go to the 3.3 volt pin, ground can go to any GND pin, but what about SDA or data, the blue wire, and SCL or clock, the yellow wire? Well, the Raspberry Pi Pico is a special board in that just about any digital pin can be used as either SDA or SCL. You can see that in this diagram here at pico.pinout.xyz that I demonstrated in an earlier lesson. Now, having so much choice can be confusing for newbies, but here's what I think is a much better choice when setting up I2C in a Pico. I recommend using GP4 for blue or SDA and GP5 for SCL or yellow, and here's why. If you have your Pico plugged in and you enter the REPL, you should be at the triple greater than prompt, then import board, and then enter help with the word board between parentheses, you'll see output of various components that are available in the board module. And one of these is a function down here called STEMMA_I2C in all caps. And calling this function on board with board dot, that function name followed by parens, lets us set up an I2C connection on our board. If you enter I2C in lowercase equals board.STEMMA_I2C, open and close parens, and that latter part is all in uppercase, then whenever you refer to lowercase I2C, you'll be referring to your I2C object. I'll show you how we use this with our temperature sensor in just a bit. So again, connect pin GP4 to the blue or SDA wire, and pin GP5 to SCL or the yellow wire. You can use any ground for black, and plug your power into the 3.3 volt out, unless you're sure you need more power. I don't need to refer to those two pins specifically in my code. The board module knows that's where they'll be. Now, there's an additional bonus to using this line of code to set up I2C in a Pico board. These same pins assumed by this code, GP4 for SDA, GP5 for SCL, are the same connections that are built into the STEMMA-QT port that's part of this other option here, the Pico Cowbell. They call it a cowbell because when the Pico W came out, people were calling it the P-Cow. Now, there are a few types of cowbells. The cheapest is less than $2. Later in the semester, my students will use the Adalogger cowbell because it also includes a micro SD card reader that lets us use an SD card for gigabytes of file storage, but there are cowbells with cameras on them. Check the Adafruit site for the full line. Cowbell should work with any Pico series board, but do know that most don't come with headers pre-soldered. So you have to both buy those headers and solder them on yourself. But if you're soldering savvy, you can put stacking headers on the board like this, then just plug your Pico into the cowbell, And you've got a STEMMA-QT port and also a reset button, which isn't built into the Pico. The reset button is nice because you don't need to unplug your board and then plug it back in if you ever want to reset things. So know that the Cowbell is also an option. I'll demo the 4-pin STEMMA-QT connector, but the same code will work with any of the Cowbells. Now, if you've got another board that you want to use and it has a built-in STEMMA-QT port, the good news is that this line of code here should work on those boards as well. If you have a board that doesn't have a built-in STEMMA-QT port, you'll have a little bit of detective work to do, but it's not too hard. Just run the Adafruit pin map script that we demonstrated in the prior lesson. Look for the SDA pin and the SCL pin. Blue goes to the SDA, yellow goes to SCL. This is the script output for the Adafruit Circuit Playground Bluefruit, and we can see that the SCL is the A4 pin and the SDA is the A5 pin. So the numbers 4 and 5 are just flipped from the Pico that we just showed, and that's how you should connect this cable. So since I'm using a Pico W, I'm going to plug blue into GP4, yellow into GP5. There's a ground pin next to these, but any will do, and red should go into 3.3 volt out. And now I'm ready to plug in a device to check things out. So this is the Adafruit STEMMA-QT MCP9808 temperature sensor board, and I'll just plug in the STEMMA-QT port on the cable that I just installed, and I'll plug my Pico into my USB cable, and we're ready to code. So working with the MCP9808 is super easy. We just import the Adafruit _MCP9808 library. Now you'll also need the Adafruit _register library. Circup will take care of that, but if you don't use Circup, make sure you copy that into your LIB folder too. Then we declare an I2C object. If you're using a Pico with the wiring I just showed, a Cowbell, or your board has a built-in STEMMA-QT port, you can use this line here to set up I2C. I2C lowercase equals board dot, in all uppercase, STEMMA _ I2C, open and close parens. Make sure you get the caps, spelling, underscore, and parens right. And if you don't have a Pico or STEMMA-QT port, try this code here. I2C equals board dot, in all caps, I2C, open and close parens. And if that doesn't work, just check out the Adafruit Learn Guide for your board. That almost certainly has the info you need. You'll use this same I2C setup just about any time you use a STEMMA-QT device. Then we'll create a temperature sensor object. We could call this anything, but here I call it temp _ sensor. I think that's a good name. And this is created by using the Adafruit _MCP9808 library and dot the MCP9808 class in that library. And here we pass in the I2C object that we just created above. And that's because the MCP9808 is an I2C device. And that's it. We're all set up. Then we just refer to the temp sensors.temperature property to get the temperature in Celsius. And this formula here will convert that value to Fahrenheit. We can print out both the Celsius and Fahrenheit values and repeat this every 2 seconds. So let's give this a try. I'll put in a comment for the file name I'm going to use to back up this file. That's going to be MCP9808 _temp _pico.py. Then we need to import 3 libraries, board, time, and Adafruit _MCP9808. And I can see PyCharm code completion doesn't recognize this last library, so I'm going to import it into my PyCharm project. We learned how to do that in an earlier lesson, so I don't need to explain that. But when done, code completion recognizes this library, and our error reporting is improved, and our code completion will be spot on. Then we create the I2C object with I2C equals board dot, in all caps, STEMMA _ I2C, open and close parens. And I'm going to name my temperature sensor temp _ sensor. Set that equal to Adafruit _MCP9808. That's the library we just imported. And then say dot MCP9808. That's the class we're going to use. MCP is capitalized in the class. And to set that up, in between parentheses, we pass in I2C, the I2C object we just created. Then in our while true loop, I'll create a value temp C to hold the temperature in Celsius equals temp _ sensor.temperature. Then we'll convert that to Fahrenheit and store that in a value called temp F, and that'll be equal to temp C times 9 divided by 5 plus 32. That's just the standard Celsius to Fahrenheit conversion formula. Now in this next line, we're going to print out the temperature in degrees Celsius and degrees Fahrenheit, but I'm also going to show you how we can format so that we can print out our numeric values to a certain number of decimal places. Now from our earlier CircuitPython school lessons, we learned about F strings. We can precede the double quotes of a string with a lowercase f, then use curly braces inside the double quotes of a string. And we can fill in those curly braces with a variable or expression. This is going to create a string that takes the values from these variables and makes them part of the string. So for example, here we've got an F string with 2 sets of curlies. The first one gets the value of temp C, the second gets the value of the variable temp F, and the result we get is this string down here with the numbers indicating our 2 temps. But inside the curlies, we can also insert special codes to format our data. These codes are called string format specifiers, and you can search for that online if you'd like to learn more about these codes.
And here are two of the more common things that you might want to do. So if you want to format a value so that only 2 decimal places show, like you often want to do when you work with currencies,
And inside the curlies, you follow your variable or expression with
colon, followed by a period, followed by 2 for 2 decimal places, and then a lowercase f, which means we're going to be using floating point values. Floating point values are values that can have decimal places. Or if you wanted 1 or 3 decimal places, you could change the 2 to 1 or 3. Or as you see below, if you change the number to 0, then we don't have any decimal point, let alone values to the right of the decimal point. And down here, I also point out that if you cut a value short by formatting, it's rounded. So 0.5 or above will round to the next highest value, otherwise it rounds down. So let's try this out in our code.
So we'll print an F string with print, and between parens we'll say F, open and close double quotes. Then inside we'll say temperature, colon, open and close curlies for the first value. Then I'll type degree symbol F.
To type the degree symbol on the Mac, it's Shift Option 8. On Windows, it's Alt plus 0176. You don't have to put the degree symbol in there. It's a nice thing to do.
Then I'll say comma, space, open and close curlies for the second value in my F string. I'll follow that with degree symbol C. Then in the first set of curlies, I'll enter my value temp F, but then I'll add my format specifiers. So after temp F, I'm going to say colon, space, dot 1 lowercase f, so that's going to format any decimal to 1 place. In the second set, I'll say temp C, and just to try this with a different number of decimals, after temp C, I'm going to say colon, space, dot 2f, and that'll give me 2 decimals for the Celsius temperature. Then I'll add a time dot sleep, passing in 1.0 to wait 1 second between each temperature reading. Then let's save this and take a look at our results. And I'm in the REPL, so I need to Control D to get out of the REPL. Oh, and I didn't run circup to install my modules, so I'll get back to the prompt with Control T and Q. Then circup space install space -A, press return. The modules are installed automatically for me. Then I'll get back into TO and save and run. So it's currently in the mid-60s in GeForce Labs. Let's pick up the sensor and see if we can warm things up. So I'll put my thumb right over the sensor, and we can see the temperature is going up quite a bit now that I got my thumb on that. I'll take my thumb off, the temp goes down, and if I put this on a glass of ice water that I've got to hold it for a while, but we can see the temp should go down even more. So all right, our sensor is working. Congratulations, coder! Once again, we've covered a lot of ground in this lesson. We learned how to breadboard a cable with a STEMMA-QT connector so that even boards without a STEMMA-QT port can work with STEMMA-QT. We used an MCP9808 temperature sensor, and we learned how to get this working with CircuitPython to show both Celsius and Fahrenheit temperatures. And we learned how to use F strings with string format specifiers to print values with a specific number of decimal places or no decimals at all. Let's save as to our CircuitPython school folder as MCP9808_temp_pico.py. Make sure you close that outermost tab. Pythonista, I hope all the goodness in your life continues to round up, keep coding. There's more big learning ahead.